Hello world, welcome to the Hello World channel. This may be the first video on here, if not the first video. Today we're going to be going through a step-by-step walkthrough on coding every programmer's first program, and that is Hello World. Coincidentally, the inspiration for this channel. Alright, so let's get down into it. I'm going to start off by saying my IDE is the Visual Studio IDE. You can use whatever you want. I'm not really going to go into too much info on IDEs or anything, but it's basically just the environment you want to use to create your code, you know, like a text editor almost, but with nifty stuff. We're also going to be doing C++. You can use any language of your choice, but for this tutorial specifically, I'm going to do C++. So, come along and follow with me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to File, go ahead and go to New Project, and we're going to want an empty project because we're going to go from scratch. Notice we're using C++, right? So notice the language being here for this project, C++. Click Next. Now, project names. So generally, you want to name your project something that encapsulates the functionality of the project and what it does. For this project, all we're going to do is write a Hello World program, which is pretty simple. So we can just name it Hello World. And also for naming conventions, notice that each first letter of each word is capitalized. That's camel notation. Sometimes it's even just the first word is all lowercase, while the second and subsequent words begin with capitalized letters respectively. That's just a standard naming convention that most, and you should, software engineers will use. So it's just best practice to use that. So we can just name it Hello World. Go ahead and click Create. While this loads up, I just realized my Windows isn't activated, guys. Microsoft, go ahead and sponsor me so I can afford this. It's a lot of money. Okay, so our project's booted up here. So now that our project's all loaded up, we're gonna go to the right side here, right click on the project name, and we need to add our actual file to run our instructions. So we're gonna go ahead and add new item. Now you'll notice we're using C++, and there's a C++ file here. We're gonna want this one, C++ file, the .cpp file, which is where all the main source code goes. So you'll notice that you've got the C++ extension here, CPP. Source is just the name of the file. Usually for your main files, you can name it main CPP. That just distinguishes it, makes it easy to find in a pool of files if you have a bunch of files. Generally, if it's just one, I just like to name it the project name. So you can name it hello world.cpp. Go ahead and click Add. And cool, so now we have our file, and you'll notice it's line number 1 here. If we enter in some lines here, you'll see it grows. That's just a good indicator to see how many lines of code we got in our project. So generally, for each program you write in C++, you're gonna have this main function. So we're gonna write here and follow my syntax. Syntax is just you know, the language, how a language is spelled, whatever, like how words are spelled. Structure, basically the grammar of the language. So we have our main function, our int main function, sorry. You're gonna want these two parentheses here, curly brackets, and that's your main function. Now, every set of instructions, the first set of instructions, usually it starts all from the main function. The main function is the function that your program will first go into. So if you want to execute your program, you're going to want to start from this main function since that's where it's going to start. Now for us, we just want to do something very simple. We just want to display the message hello world to the user. And it's literally only one line of code. So you can just follow my syntax here. Type in cout. Alligator arrows facing to the right, in quotes, and then in the quotes, whatever message you want to display, you can write. So we want to say hello world, an exclamation point. Another thing we can do is more alligator clips. You can type in end L, that stands for end line. So what that does is it makes it so this message is displayed on one line. It also clears the stream that this is coming from, this cout, that's the output stream. And so if I did another cout, we'd say something like goodbye world, oops, end it with a semicolon there. I forgot to explain this, but semicolons are like the periods of your instructions. Once the computer sees this semicolon, it's going to go ahead and execute the next line of code, which is this line. But anyway, going off topic, this end line, how I said it ends the line, it's just going to make it so this is displayed on the next line, and it also clears the stream. Now you're also going to notice that we have these errors here, these red underlines. It says identifier cout is undefined. Same thing with end L, this end line. Now that's because to use these we need to include the IO stream and the standard namespace. So if you notice, I typed in hashtag include IO stream. Hit enter here on a new line of code. We also want to be using namespace std, and that stands for using the standard namespace. That just makes it so we can differentiate from different functions. So for example, say we have two kids with the same first names. How do I differentiate from that? Well, usually there's something else to identify them with, maybe their last name, area they live. So if I had two Johns, I could have John Park, maybe John Kim for the last one. Those two last names are like namespaces. It differentiates them. So if I didn't have this using namespace std, I would have to use the cout function like this, std ::, and that differentiates this cout from maybe another cout in a different namespace. Oops! Oh, look at this. Look at this code sample. Anyway, close that. And you also notice when I typed that, this IDE gave me all this, all these functionalities that it has. Like, let's see, we got here add value. Oh, multi-line. These are all part of that namespace. All these functions. So oops. I'm gonna break my program here. So it just saves us some typing if we just use using namespace standard. Pardon my keyboard clicks, guys. Got these MX blues. So we're using the standard namespace that allows us to use these functions without having to identify between and differentiate between, you know, multiple functions in other namespaces, so it doesn't get confusing. So that's pretty much it. This IO stream that we included, that lets us use cout specifically. Cout is part of the O stream. So I stands for input stream, O is output stream. We're outputting a message to the user. If I want to do an input, say type something into the computer and use it later, like a number, store it, and then maybe add something to that number that I typed in, that's when you would want to use the input stream. But that's enough explaining for now. So if I just run this, you'll see it's loading up here, and see this console, it pops up. It says hello world. So that's it. We did it. One simple line of code. I can exit this out. There's other things you can do that's cool with these strings and couts and all that stuff. You can type in like a /n. That is kind of like end line. It's gonna put strings that you want to display on a new line, but it doesn't clear the stream. So end line may be bad for performance. This /n might be good for performance, but you're not clearing out the stream, so maybe it's not as safe. It may be also easier to read your program too if you just use these end Ls. You you can have clear-cut points where you're separating your messages. But I'll show you how this /n works. So I can have hello world, one line of code, but then display another sentence or message on a different line in the actual console when it runs. So I can say hello world, and I can say goodbye world. And it's kind of sad to say goodbye, so let's just put a sad face. Run it, and you'll notice hello world is on top, goodbye world on the bottom, all because of this /n, which lets it go on a new line. So that's pretty much it. Hello world, the first program, classic program that every first programmer writes. I hope this inspires you guys to write some more code. Coding is definitely fun, definitely stressful sometimes. That's my line of work. But yeah, I think that's it. It's already like 2:30 a.m. I'm actually remaking this video because I thought the first one was kind of trash. This one is still pretty trash, but I don't know, I'm having fun, man. This is probably coming out during the corona apocalypse, so stay safe. Wash your damn hands. I just freaking cussed. I'll bleep that out. Anyway, I said hello world, and now I'm gonna say goodbye world. Peace.